Well, all of those sailors come from the crews of more than 20 Navy ships here for the International Fleet Review. And two of those vessels, a supply ship and a frigate from the Royal New Zealand Navy, are in Canadian waters for the first time in 25 years. And while many of those sailors were touring Victoria today, A News reporter Eric Thompson was checking out the ships.
The Royal New Zealand Navy is respected around the world. Many of these sailors have conducted exercises in the past with Canada's Navy, but this is the first time in 25 years the country has sent ships to these waters.
I've worked with the Canadians before up in the Persian Gulf, and we're very similar in how we do business. The attitudes on ship and stuff like that is quite the same.
Petty Officer Nick Hunter says after a long journey, sailors aboard the Te Kaha and Endeavour are happy to be in port. The Te Kaha has 170 crew members aboard. There are about 50 on Endeavour.
Everyone was pretty excited. Everyone was, after 17 days at sea, everyone was really champing the bit to get off and have a look around.
The two ships sailed together on their way to ESQUIMALT. The frigate and replenishment vessels are two of 15 ships that make up the Royal New Zealand Navy.
So we carry a lot of New Zealand produce and food for the other ship, and we'll conduct replenishments via either via helicopter transfer or via light jack stay between the ships at sea. So that way we can take a little bit of New Zealand to the world and keep our crew happy as well with some of our home produce.
Back on the Te Kaha, able chef Andrew Stevens is busy preparing dinner. He says it's hard work cooking at sea, but the crew appreciates his efforts, and you can see why. What are you making?
Just grilled chicken breast wrapped in bacon.
Is that a New Zealand delicacy?
No, probably the lamb. It's probably the delicacy that we've got in New Zealand.
Do you take suggestions from the crew?
Yeah, actually I do, because it helps their morale, keeps their morale high.
With all this great food on board the Te Kaha, they have a gym, of course. They also offer regular classes out on the deck twice a day. This is a new addition. It's working really well, actually. Petty Officer Hunter says while at sea, the crew aboard Te Kaha play sports on the flight deck. They also have poker and quiz nights. It's really not that different from being on a Canadian frigate. And before we go ashore, one more question. In my soccer pool today, I picked New Zealand to win some games. Is that a good pick?
Picking on New Zealand is always a good bet.
I think you'll get an endorsement for that pick, Eric. Now, both the ships from New Zealand are taking part once this is over in RIMPAC later this month, aren't they?
Just the one. Te Kaha is going to continue on to Hawaii for RIMPAC. That's one of the largest military exercises in the world. And we found out today that Endeavour, in fact, will be heading south. They'll both go to Vancouver first, but then Endeavour will head south. They'll stop in Seattle and, of course, San Francisco, San Diego as well. First time in the States for 25 years, so it should be pretty exciting for the crew and, of course, for visitors in that part of the world to see some sailors from New Zealand for the first time in a while.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you.
You're welcome.
Eric Thompson reporting.